Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Every Which Way Post-Mortem. This is our third post-mortem episode because it's our third and fourth hunt, kind of, sort of. This is where you guys hunted the snake creatures and that big heart vine monster creature, McBobber. Yeah, we're just going to be kind of going into our behind-the-scenes stuff, our thoughts on the episode, favorite parts, stuff that we were like, thoughts behind creation of the episode. Wow, that was a good sentence structure. Just, thoughts behind the episodes, our favorite parts, and kind of thoughts creating each moment that we did. So let's start off with everyone's favorite moments in the hunt.
Or the introductions of everyone.
Hi, I'm Sam. I play Ian.
All right, pal.
Hi, I'm Noah. I play Max.
Hi, I'm Jared, and I play Harvester. And I pay attention to what we do.
What's your favorite part of the fucking hunt, you bastard?
I had to think of the entire hunt because this was a longer one.
It was.
I had to think of all the character interactions. I liked when Sam was like, "I'm going to bring the body back," because that blew my mind. That blew Harvester's mind, and it blew Jared's mind at the same time. I also liked when we went into the cave and it was a gigantic pumping heart because that was disgusting.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was
very
cool.
Incredibly inorganically organic.
I got a question about that. Was the heart fleshy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was a fleshy heart with vines coming out of it as if they were veins, but it looked like a human heart that was just stretched to way, way bigger.
Okay. Someone needs to draw that. Not me.
Anyway, talk more about bringing back to life because I did not think that.
Oh my gosh, I wanted Ian to have his little evil scientist moment because that came after I decided to dress up as Reanimator, as the guy from Reanimator, Dr. Herbert West. Like, I was like, well, that's so funny that Ian's dressed up as Dr. Herbert West. What if he just brings someone back to life as well? Get into character.
When did you get the idea, though? How long were you sitting on that bad boy? Because
I thought of it during that record.
Okay.
That came to my brain during the record.
Because during planning, I was very adamant about getting Steve/Simon out. I was like, was Sam planning that ever since then?
No, it just happened in my brain. But I thought it was, I really wanted the role to fail because I think that would be really devastating. But really cool. But the fail did not happen, but it did happen during Ian trying to manipulate. Ian was so confident. I've been too confident in my manipulation roles.
You fell asleep in the woods. When I fell asleep, there were leaves on the trees. And there wasn't snow on the ground.
Oh my God.
Ian's got too confident in the gaslighting.
So
that turned into one of the most horrifically funny moments in the podcast was just you guys trying to gaslight this person that was dead about the fact that he just fell asleep and he's like, I just lost months of my life. What is going on? And you were like, you're fine.
And then Sophie put him out again.
Oh my God.
And then there was just like no clear plan.
No,
of how
after you said you had a plan.
Yeah. Of how you were going to manage this.
Well, the plan was not fail the manipulation role.
Well, if that's the plan, then use a luck.
I already used 2 and I'm scared of using another.
2 total?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've used
still,
3.
I'm spooked.
I could use like 4 more before this game's over.
You guys better start using your luck then.
Yeah.
I'm so spooked by it.
I can't tell what my favorite part is because like the boss fight with the heart is up there for sure.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was cool.
I think one of my favorite parts was the knife vine.
That's great. Just like sword fighting with a vine.
Because that was just so random and I was like, how can I punish them in a way that's different? And I was like, what if he just picks up the knife?
It's so good.
You getting your jacket.
Me getting my jacket's good. The lake being frozen was good. Just that whole record, honestly.
Yeah, the lake being frozen was super cool because that was not at all. Well, we'll get into that, but that was not at all what we thought was going to happen when we went into that session, and nobody was ready for it. And then Sam was like, what if I freeze a lake?
Yeah.
Like all of my ideas just like happen upon me in the moment. Like I don't plan things.
Which I love because it makes some of the crazy, it outshines Max in just sheer crazy because you're just like, wow, what if I just do this? Because like at a certain point, I expect Max to do something really stupid.
Yeah, because Max is weird crazy. Ian is just straight up insane. Because like when Max, like... when Ian and Sophie were like, "Hey Max, you should come bring your dad and help us out with this situation."
Yep.
And Max is just like, "You guys brought a dead person back to life. What is wrong with you?"
Yeah, we talked about this after the episode, but you'll notice, or I think even in the episode, that Bill is noticeably quiet.
Yeah.
And that was actually partially, one, just because I feel like I talk enough in the podcast and I don't want to just make it all my characters. And two, because anything Bill would have said, Max was already saying.
Yeah.
So there was really no point in him just being like, yeah, you tell him, son.
That'd be really funny. He's just like in the corner like, yeah, get him, son.
Yeah, maybe we just go back and edit that now. Just pretend he's doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel like he needed to say anything because like narratively, there's no point. Max is already saying it. And I feel like we have enough repetition of story beats to just kind of leave that one out.
Also, speaking of Max's dad, when you were saying pens, I thought I was mishearing you. I thought you were saying pins. Because I was like, oh, yeah, because I could like pin it in their like shirt or something. But I love that it's pens.
Yeah.
I
was like, what's the most random and inefficient object that he could put this symbol on to link you guys? And then I was like, pens. They're annoying to carry. Everyone loses them. And he'd randomly do it because he thinks it's cool.
It's so funny. Oh, man.
Because I also wanted there to be a through line of like, this is still your dad.
Yeah.
And as much as like he's been hardened by the years of being a monster hunter, I still don't want him to lose the fact that he's your dad and you guys are similar enough in some of those ways. And so I wanted it to be like, oh yeah, okay, he's kind of a goof too. You know, he takes it seriously, but he still does those goofy things in the ways he does it. So I was like, pens, it's perfect. And then I said it, and then it was just a bunch of blank stares, and I was like, well, I'm going to double down.
I immediately thought of Percy Jackson when you said pens. And I was like, if these pens aren't magical swords, I'm going to, you missed your chance.
I have no plans on making them magical swords. We don't.
Oh, they're just pens?
No, they link you guys.
Yeah, but other than that, they're just pens.
Yeah.
Can we still write with them?
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, really the cap does not come off.
The cap won't come off. It'd be
hilarious if they were like out of ink, or like the ink gets lower for like how like hurt you are. Like...
Yep. No, they're pens with just like little engravings. But yeah, they link you guys, and you really should keep them on you because that's like a neat magic item you have now.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part, Sam?
There's a few.
When you were in your dorm room and Payne showed up. That was good. That was good both times.
The secret second time.
Yep.
What was I like? Oh, there's people doing cocaine in the next room, and then I switched the room numbers.
Yep.
What else happened? I liked when Ian phased through the heart, and then he also phased through somewhere else, and I forgot. I thought going through the heart was pretty cool. I thought bringing Steven, is it both Steve and Steven?
Sure.
Because we've said both, I think.
You mean Steve and Simon?
We brought him back to life, and that was pretty funny.
Not for him.
It was funny for me.
He got kidnapped and brought halfway across
and
the
then
stage.
Was threatened with death a second time.
I can't believe my little brother survived.
Oh yeah, did you have any ideas for what he was going to do?
Yep.
Because you kept asking where he was.
Yeah. I am not going to talk very much about that one for now.
I figured you would not.
There are more story things going on than just this hunt that are being prepared, so I can't talk too much about that, but I did have ideas, and ideas are still cooking.
Uh-oh.
Because in my brain, you need to talk to Bran, and Liam was with Bran for X amount of time.
Well, Liam's now out of the state.
That's true.
Yeah, he's gone.
For now. Dun, dun, dun. I have no idea. Yeah, I definitely got to do that whole talking to Bran thing.
Maybe Bran's going to be like the babysitter from The Incredibles and be like, bro, I think Liam has powers.
That'd be crazy.
What makes you say that?
So funny. You also failed a roll to see the future and saw him in danger.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't remember that.
I remember that.
I remembered it for the first couple episodes and then forgot in the third episode and then remembered it again in the fourth episode. But that's part of the reason I was keeping up on the Liam of it all is because there was a whole fortune.
The Liam of it all.
So hopefully he will be fine. and he does not come back, hopefully.
I don't know.
Uh-oh. But yeah, it was kind of fun having him around. And it was fun to meet Max's dad. And it was unfortunate that we couldn't meet any of Harvester's family. But
oh man.
Well, it was nice hearing about them.
Max heard his daughter's voice for a second.
Yeah, that dream was insane.
True. Well, there was the dream, and then also the snake used.
Yeah, the first time we were in the cave.
Yeah,
that was the second time you were in the cave, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you didn't know about the dream sequence that Aiden had planned, right?
Nope.
No.
So that was I basically just wrote it up myself. I texted Jared a couple times and was like, hey, how does this thing happen? You know, I was like, so what were you doing the day your family died? And he was like, oh, I think I was planting my wife's favorite flowers, which was snowdrops, which is why I put that detail in. And then, you know, he was like, I find the horn and then I go give it to her. That's why I was fine with saying in the moment, you thought in that moment of giving the horn to your daughter, because Jared had told me he thought in the moment to give the horn to his daughter. I don't like speaking for the characters unless they've already told me this is what they would have done. But other than those couple of conversations, we didn't really talk about it at all. We talked about, and the only other note Jared gave me for the thing was like a creature with big white wings that looked like an angel is the thing that killed it. So from day one, I've had in my head the angel creature.
Angel of Death.
And I didn't know what it would look like. And then I was just like, well, I'm going to make it weird. I'm going to make it funky fresh.
Now, for the 2 arms, is it like it goes bicep and then 2 forearms with 2 hands, or is it like 2 full arms?
That's
2
cool.
full arms coming out of the right side, 1 arm on the left side.
So it's like 4 arms, but 3. So it's 3 arms.
It's like when Kevin first absorbs the power. He only has 3 arms.
Yep.
And then he gets 6 after for some reason. Then he goes back to 4.
Yep, exactly like that. No, you're right. I mean, that is exactly what it's like, except the 6 and the 4. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't fucking know.
Maybe there'll be another angel with 2 arms on the other side, and then they hold their single hand and they work together.
They hold their single hand, and then the hands start merging together until they have more hands.
Ew.
Yeah, they don't have it's weird. They each sacrifice an arm to fuse together, so they go from 3 each to 4 total. Yep. Which is not really that much of an upgrade.
It's not that efficient, especially because then you're like 2 people are controlling 1 body.
But it's really funny to think about.
It is. So yeah, we didn't really talk about that to answer that question. So I completely took him by surprise with that. And then I guess, do we want to talk about more favorite moments, or are we ready to get into
Well, I also like when I was ready to shoot your dad in the face as I look towards Noah in real life.
Yeah.
But then I decided not to do that, and then he gave the backstory of like the heretics of
the sword. It's really not a complex name.
I almost said heretics of the flaming sword, but I was like, no, flaming fist is Baldur's Gate. So anyway, that was pretty cool. And then he and I had our spat, so that was pretty cool.
That was really cool. Yep. It would have been really, really funny if you shot and killed him before anything happened.
I actually thought about that. But then I was like,
that would have been insane for me to deal with.
Oh man.
We would have had to find like papers in his trailer about
all
the exposition he was going to say.
Or just, what's her name? It's just like, Luna? Well, hey, Luna. It's just like, hey guys, well, I'm going to explain this real quick.
I've already talked to you a little bit about this, but I didn't have any of that planned for that session. Obviously the ideas were there because I'm not just going to start expositing with just random bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I would. I for sure would. But I didn't. That was all planned, and basically I have enough of the story planned that at this point I have my guidelines, so I'm not going to fuck up with just some random improv that ruins everything. In my head, the way the episode ends is you guys meet Max's father, and he just goes like, hey, kid, and then the episode's done. And that's how in my head it ended there.
Yeah.
And so then the post-hunt wrap-up was the exposition.
That makes sense.
And then like 20 minutes in, you guys took care of all the snakes because you didn't fail a single roll the entire time.
It was so funny.
Except for me.
Yeah. Harvester failed rolls, but the rest of you were just like, this is easy.
Yeah, we just did so good. This is like the most dangerous fights we've ever had. It's like, boom, just smashing snakes into the wall.
Yeah, and so the other idea I had, the reason the jacket started glowing, and I talked to Noah about this, not before, but afterwards, is that once Max got to 5 harm, the jacket would start glowing and Max's dad would be able to find him. It was basically a locator to protect him from danger. And so that would be if you guys were in a really tough fight for him to come, and because he was like, his specialty is healing magic, he could like heal you guys up and you could get back in there. It was basically my last time giving you a handout. Because now...
These fucking government handouts.
Because now the gloves are off.
Yeah, now we have everything. We have 2 cars, 2 different safe houses, technically.
And then 4 different like experts in fighting.
Well...
3?
What does Max do?
What?
Oh, 4 different experts. I thought you meant like the 4 of us.
No.
Including Sophie.
I meant
like,
Harvester, Sophie,
all
Luna,
of the adults.
And,
Yes.
like the fully grown adults. Like the more adult
and then the
adults.
2 strange children that they adopted.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The 2 strange children that keep showing up places Harvester's at.
Yeah.
So the original idea was that you guys would have like one last help, and also it would introduce these characters. And then you got to 5 harm, but you were still just winning at everything. And by the time you got to 5 harm, I think the snakes were like dead. So I was like, the fuck am I going to do now?
Yeah, I think the finishing blow is literally like a trade-in of harm.
I think so. And I was like, well, all right. So now they just like show up.
It's so, I mean, I think it works.
And that's when I was like, and that's when I introduced like Sheriff Payne showing up, because I was like, he's looking for he's like investigating. He'd probably go to the cave if like they told him there's a cave.
Oh yeah, I forgot I did. I'm basically the only reason that happened.
So I was like, well, he knows there's a cave. He's probably going to go investigate. So why don't I like light, the fire under you guys and get you running? And so then when you guys did that, I was like, I guess this works. We can just like have your dad following you through the forest. But I didn't have any of that planned. I didn't know where his trailer was going to be. I was just like, sure, it's in the woods.
I just really like the idea of like, he's just been there for like months now.
Yeah, no. Originally, I also had it that he was going to open a portal. And then I was
crazy.
Like, that might be too insane.
Pulling a magical sniper out of the coolest portal you've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. Sam, with the phasing through the heart. I didn't really get to talk about that moment. That is one of the most fun things after listening back to the first couple of episodes and seeing how Ian fought in the first hunt, which was like when I sent the alligators after you.
Yeah, and
you were like, I run.
Yeah, scared shitless.
The first thing you did was call Harvester and say, Harvester, whatever you're doing, come back to me and worry about me. And then Harvester was like, no, I'm next to the monster. And then he turned it off, and then you got mad at him and you were like, why are you not helping me? And he was like, I'm next to the monster. And then you were like, let me call Max. And Max was like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'll be there soon. And so it was like you had a moment where you were alone with the monsters, and then you just ran.
Yeah.
And so it was like really cool to see that growth in like you becoming more confident in the hunts, like Ian's, but not you, Sam, but like Ian.
Honestly, that was me. I was scared.
That's funny. In some ways, that makes it better though.
Yeah.
But seeing Ian grow to the point where he's gonna phase through a vine wall into the monster's like cave and just start fucking blowing it up is such a cool growth, especially because like even in Hunt 2, you were still kind of on the edge. You were more willing to jump into danger, but like you were on the fence and you were like, am I really just going to be bait? Like, what the fuck? Or am I sneaking around? What am I doing? But then you ended up doing it. And now you're like jumping headfirst through the heart. I thought that was such a cool transition over the last 3 hunts.
And using your powers more.
Yeah.
Actions have consequences.
Yeah, they do.
Excited for that to catch up to him, honestly.
That will probably happen.
As you put your feet up on the table.
I can't wait for Max to fool about some more and then break his other arm after finally getting his arm back.
He finally has 2 arms, no longer limited, and he's going to break both of them.
Oh.
No, this time I'll break both legs.
Yep.
Oh, no. We're not wheeling you around.
No. Your dad can probably.
Yep. He can make it work.
Just like on a dolly, so I'm still able to like stand up.
The way that the healing that your dad, like he takes on the injury, right?
Yep.
That is so interesting. Like, especially from like a father-son dynamic, that is so interesting.
I think it's really funny that he's like he failed when he tried to fix my arm. So I imagine he took like half the brokenness of my arm. So like we both just for the rest of that month had a semi-broken arm.
Yep. You both just had like really bruised bones that were like half broken.
Oh my God.
We can talk about that too. Max's dad was originally an idea where Noah was just like, hey, my dad disappeared when I was 18. That's it.
When he was pretty 18? I thought it was way more than that.
See, what it was is like, for like the exact details on the timeline, quote unquote, is like, let's like Max's mom or whoever, like, I don't know. I didn't plan anything.
She didn't show up for his birth?
Max doesn't know. Yeah, no. But like 3 or 4 years into Max being alive, Max's mom disappeared.
Okay.
And then from that point on...
I thought you said she died specifically.
Oh, I did? Oh, I think I may have corrected. Yeah, anyways. The thing is, like, she either died or disappeared. I don't think Max knows in detail. And then from that point on, Max's dad was kind of like essentially gone all the time. He was out of the house almost every hour of every day. And when he was in the home, he was kind of like a ghost of his former self. Kind of like didn't really say much, didn't really have like, wasn't very like responsive. That's why Max was like, this is the fullest conversation we've had in 15 years.
Yeah.
Not because he disappeared 15 years ago. It's because
I see.
He just stopped being a person 15 years ago. And then on Max's 18th birthday, his dad just never came back. There was a note in a car, and then Max just left home.
What was the note?
The note was like, hey, I'm gone. Here's this van and a gun. Take care of yourself.
Hey, I've gone to be goofy somewhere.
I forgot what the note was.
It was specific enough, and it was something. I have it written on my laptop. I just haven't taken my laptop out yet.
I forget because like I remember it was something about like I got to take care of some things.
Yeah, it was essentially something like, I'm doing this to protect you.
Yeah.
Here, let me pull it up.
But yeah, that's essentially the way it is. And you know, now that like something that I was like thinking back on, that's like really funny that I'm like, I didn't really think much about that. I was like, I'm thinking like how many, I think we brought it up after last session, or after last record, we were like, how many payments, like how far out did like Bill pay for that house? Did Max just like leave when he like didn't need to yet? So I think it's just funny to think about.
Have you been keeping up with the house? The house?
Yes.
The house I'm paying for?
Yeah. It's
I did find the note. It just says, I hope you know I love you. It's because I love you that I have to go, for both of us. I wish I could say more than that, but I hope you never have to find out the truth. Stay safe and Bran will look out for you. He owes me. Which I had written from day one. Before the first session, I texted Noah and was like, he left you this letter. This part I've had planned since day one for Bill.
That's cool. I like that.
I didn't know the specifics. But I also always knew he was going to be part of some order or cult or something that was going to be fighting monsters, but it was going to take something from him to do so, which is what originally got me the idea of him being good at healing, but it literally hurts him to do it. So he's this scarred, bruised man because he wants to help.
I like the way it turned out, honestly. It's pretty cool.
Did we want to talk about the elephant in the room?
It would be good to know what the elephant in the room is.
My first thought was your mom.
Whoa!
Whoa, she came back from halfway across the country? This is sick.
Yo, that's crazy.
The elephant in the room is the re-record.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The two different.
Forgot about that. Oh, my God. It was awful.
Oh.
So this was the biggest struggle we've had recording. To be completely transparent, we've never done a re-record before this. We didn't even like consider it until we walked out of this session. And it was specifically in the planning phase session, which I think we're taking things from both records for, because the first like 15 minutes of the first record and then the last like 45 minutes of the other record are really good together.
Yeah.
But when we were doing the planning phase for these hunts, there was a lot of information at play and there was a lot of miscommunication about that information. And I think we can all just kind of talk about it, but we were trying to plan how these hunts would go and how we can balance the snakes and the heart And obviously, like, I know how I had it in my head, but I didn't want to lead you guys into my version of the hunt because I just don't find that fun.
Also, by that time, did you say that was when you figured out what you wanted the vine thing to be, or no?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know what the vine thing was going to be. I knew it was going to be some sort of vine creature that controls vines and would be like stationary in this place. I didn't know it was going to be this like beating heart of the cave.
Yep.
But I also like that it makes the cave feel like this living creature. But at the time, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, it was you guys incapacitate the snakes, go after the vines, and then figure out what's causing the snakes. Because the snakes would be a present issue constantly, whereas the vines are static. But you can also lure the snakes out. And I had Sophie kind of lay out like, here's all the information you guys have learned in your investigation. And I laid all that out. I was like, the vines are weak to fire. The snakes will come back if we kill them, and they'll also spawn a new one. So it's a growing issue, but they are willing to leave the cave and lure people out. So if we can try to trap the hunter, and it was almost like the idea was it was going to be a game of cat and mouse. When we were laying out that plan, specifically, Jared and I could never see eye to eye.
We can't fight them both at the same time.
My sister and I
we should kill them at the same time.
My sister and I were going back and forth.
Yeah, so Harvester and Sophie basically had a circular argument for 25 minutes of just like Harvester being like, why don't we just go in there and then just take care of the vines and then take care of the snakes? And then Sophie would be like, well, the snakes will attack us while we're fighting the vines. So we have to get the snakes out of there. And then Harvester would be like, why don't we just blow up the snakes?
And then I'd be like, no. I was like, the vines aren't an issue because we have fire. So it's really just 2 snakes to worry about. And if Ian can just freeze 1 snake, then it's 1 snake to worry about.
And
then the cave is like done.
And like, I don't know if when you were saying that, you realized there was a whole monster behind the vines, or
in my brain, I was imagining like Swamp Thing from DC.
Okay.
But then I was like, fire though. And if we have 2 fire flamethrowers, then like that's just a really big target.
But when have I designed a hunt where when you have the weakness, you know the weakness, it just instant dies?
Yeah, that's true. But I figured that like if the weakness was so bad, then we would get like an advantage on it. But I mean, you didn't do that with the scorpion. I mean,
technically
we did have an advantage on it with the spray, but we didn't know that. You knew that.
You knew the spray would work.
We knew it would work, but we didn't know that we were getting an advantage. We didn't know we were doing like extra damage.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to tell you the math.
Yeah, you didn't do that.
Also,
because why
so
would
I
I?
assume that because we're using fire, if we had 2 flamethrowers and not 1, I almost said nitrous oxide.
I was also going to bring that up.
We kept saying that.
Nitrogen.
We kept like, oh yeah, let's freeze them with laughing gas.
No, it was laughing gas.
Yeah.
I thought it was poppers, but that is another thing called. I had it Googled. Me and Lucas were talking.
I was gonna say you talking about the scorpion reminded me the chemical reactions in this universe seem to be more volatile, but I love it.
But yeah, I was like, if we have 2 things of fire. And then we know that things have the ability to do like double/advantage damage, then the vines aren't an issue.
And so Sophie then kept going, well, we don't know that because we don't know what's behind door number 2. And then Harvester would be like, but we have fire.
Yeah, what's behind door number 2 does not matter.
Door number 2, fire. Door number 2. And Max was like,
So then when we finished the record after coming up with like a plan, but the problem was I kind of came up with the plan.
And also it revealed Ian's power. Like, I don't know why I decided this. I revealed Ian's powers to Liam in a way that was not interesting.
Yeah, that was
not true to Ian's character and just not good.
Just be like, I freeze.
You're like, I died or something like that.
I freeze Liam in place.
Yeah, you were just like, I'm gonna test my powers on Ian. I freeze him in place, and then or on Liam, and then Liam freaked out, and you were like, yep, I died and now I have powers. And then Liam was like, what? And you were like, okay, bye. And I was like,
I thought you were going to text them on Max. And I was like, that makes sense. Because Max would totally be like, okay.
I also like the idea because little brothers are the test subjects 100% all the time. Sure. But like, this was just not in a fun way.
It was just, it was such a quick decision. I think if there was like a little bit more lead into it, or like if Liam knew you had powers and then you were like, I'm gonna test my magic on you, that would be like very in character. But just to randomly be like,
just like, yeah.
Well, I died. was very random. But yeah, like when I was coming up with the plan, I don't like coming up with the plan. But like it was so obvious you guys were gonna die if I didn't say anything. Because to be clear, even if they didn't go into the room with the vines, if you guys like if you didn't go into the room with the heart, if you guys fought the snakes while the vines were in the same room, you'd essentially have a -1 ongoing to every single roll. Because the vines would be trying to trip you, trying to grab your weapons, trying to move you, do things like that, displace you, or attack you themselves. So it would have been a lot harder to succeed that way. So I was like, well, you know it could be an issue, so why don't you not jump into it? And then eventually I had to like coerce you guys into a plan.
Yeah.
And at the end of the session, for the first time ever, because you know, Jared and I specifically argue a lot in character.
Yes.
Sophie, because Harvester's just like a
hero,
an argumentative, hero, an argumentative guy, and Sophie, being his sister, is equally as argumentative. So we're constantly at odds. But we've never extended it to out of character arguments. We'll have discussions occasionally where we'll text each other and be like, that's not how I thought that was going to go. And then I'll be like, me neither. And then we'll both be like, well, it's good that it went this way because we didn't expect that. But we've never like sat down out of character and been like, you're still fucking wrong until that moment. And basically we took off our headphones and Noah just kind of went, and like Sam said nothing. Sam was completely
so out of character for Sam.
Like extra nothing, like a sad amount of nothing.
Like
where I could tell you were upset.
Words.
Yeah.
Where I could tell like Sam was upset. And then Jared and I just started yelling at each other.
Kept going.
We were just like, for like another 15 minutes, it was just Jared and I screaming back and forth like, you're not hearing me. You're not understanding what I'm saying. You need to listen. And it was just back and forth like that for so long. And then we didn't decide to re-record it in that moment. I just kept like, I was just like walking into rooms and being like, that sucked, guys. And then I'd be like, we could re-record this.
Then you sat in my show and then you just listened to it back and you were like, I'm not happy.
Yeah, no, I actually did. I while Jared was on his radio show, I just put my headphones in and started listening to the episode again. And I was like, yeah, this didn't come out good. Like, I don't like the final product. And it's the first time that's ever happened. Even with episode 1, which I think is like barely story related, especially listening back after we've posted it. I love episode 1, but this episode, I didn't like it at all. So then Jared was like, we could just re-record it. And so we texted the group chat and we ended up just coming back in the next day and we redid it. And what I love about the new plan is that's when Ian's like, oh, I'll just freeze it. And nobody expected that. And that's what I love. It's not like, oh, we re-recorded it. And so then it was just like, now it's a planned session. It was, if anything, more improv than if we used the original record, because the original record was just me doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was like actually you guys jumping into the improv and everyone was working from the same page. Because Jared and I talked about that. We had different understandings of the hunt the whole time.
Yes.
And so that made it so the planning phase was almost impossible because Noah, Sam, and I were working on one page, and Jared was on his own page.
He was on
whole different
15.
book, honestly.
It was because the way, so like in my brain, the vines were a non-factor, right? And then I was thinking, how are we going to get the snakes out if like the snakes are luring people to the cave? Because I thought the snakes were like some type of siren. So people would hear the snakes in their heads, and then they would go towards the cave, and then they would enter the cave. And then the vines would trap them. That was my understanding of what was happening.
I love that explanation because I never said you heard them in your head. It was just an audible voice, and then you were like, yeah, we hear them in our heads, don't we?
I just
and you were
assumed,
like, what?
I just assumed that's like, I knew that when we were in the cave, then we could hear them out loud. But I figured like, if the snakes are in the cave all the time, how are they luring people?
They weren't.
Because like, it was the idea of a snake leaving the cave and then just waiting behind a tree to wait for like Billy, and then the snake being like, "Hey Billy, I'm
like
Max."
the snake in the Garden of Eden.
That was in one place though.
Yeah, but he was behind a tree.
But he was very visible
behind the tree. Also, I have to ask you a question. So I get you thought the snakes were gonna stay, and they were like in the mind, not the sound, but like, why were the vines a non-factor?
Because we had fire.
Yeah, but we saw that like didn't like necessarily work on all of them at the same time, at least.
No, the fire did.
Right,
You didn't
the
have to
fire
roll to use
works.
fire because fire was super effective.
Right, but there's more vines than like fire.
Even when I couldn't cut the thing through Sophie, I was like, I use my lighter, and Aiden was like, "Oh yeah, you do." And
You know
then
what? You're right.
and then it
I
snapped
came.
through.
But
I
still,
came.
there's still
Well,
a lot
also,
of vines.
I like that wasn't where the heart was.
No, it was not.
There's still a whole
So-
unexplored room in the cave, and I'll never.
There is?
I remember that one time where I was like, "Isn't there another unexplored room in the cave?" And then you were like, "No, we explored all the rooms." And I was like, "Okay, I'll shut up and never talk again." And then that's
Wait.
what I did. And then
Bro, I have the map drawn and I don't see any unexplored rooms.
Wait, how big is the room that Sophie was in?
Dude, isn't it crazy when I asked that same exact question and
Yeah,
you
this
guys
is-
said that you explored all the rooms?
This is literally what Jared said
This
last
is one
session.
for one what I said.
Jared,
Get away from
Look.
the mic, you peeking bastard.
Jared, sometimes I am a fool bigger than myself.
This is also a funny dynamic because I cannot remember anything ever.
Me either. I
Like,
don't remember that at all.
How many rooms are in the cave?
No, so the room Sophie was in was like a bigger room.
That's yeah.
I remember
See,
that.
I think so. What happens, Jared, is I work off of different definitions of words every day. So when you said, "Oh, an unexplored room, like a room we haven't been in," is what I meant. I probably thought you meant then.
Mhm.
But what I'm thinking now is like we didn't like look more into that like cave room.
That's absolutely crazy because I did say the same phrase the same way twice.
Yeah.
You had two different interpretations.
Yes.
On 2 different days.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But yeah, we have supposedly explored the entire cave. I didn't think we did. Apparently we did.
We also had a second re-record that I don't
Oh.
even think Sam knows about
What?
because Jared and I did this in secret and then Noah was there at one point and then we were just like, Noah, we did this thing, but we didn't tell Sam. Not because we were excluding you, just because Noah happened to be there and you
Yeah. It
weren't.
was just it was like the other day.
So what happened? What was re-recorded?
Jared and I re-recorded the dream sequence.
Oh, okay.
So because I didn't tell him it existed, he froze really hard. And basically,
I was supposed to not know what I knew, but I knew it, so I acted on the knowledge that I knew instead of not knowing.
You lost me.
so in the original dream, in the original timeline, Jared and I talked about, Harvester didn't know it was a horn, and he gave it to his daughter and was like, "Look at
Oh.
this weird thing," because he knew his daughter would like to play with it. Because his daughter's like 12, and I think she likes rocks and shit, and like
Yeah.
geology stuff is what we talked about. So he was like, "I found this weird thing in the ground. Wouldn't you love to play with this?" And then she goes and plays with it, finds out it's a horn, and comes back to him and says, "It's a horn." So I had that written out like that. I have it. Oh, sorry. What's up?
Sorry, I was gonna say, speaking of the dream sequence and the horn specifically, can I bring something up that like confused me?
Yeah.
The way you described the horn, where you said it's a curved cylinder that gets wider at the base, and I was always just like, I mean, I guess, like, because like, I don't know why. The way I imagined it is like,
Wait a minute. There's a 3D name for that shape. It's called a cone.
I mean, yeah,
A
it is. more of a-
cornucopia.
Why did you say
Cornucopia.
cylinder that gets wider at the base when cone exists?
That's
I forgot how cones work, guys.
cylinder that gets
Sorry.
wider at the base.
I was so confused.
Bro, guys, imagery's hard.
I know.
Tell me when you can write imagery and then go code for 3 hours.
Look, I know, but it was just really funny because you said it both times. So I was just like,
Bro, well, I'm committed.
No, I know. No, it works. It was just, I just wanted to bring that up.
Is it not a curved cylinder that gets wider at the base? Cones don't curve.
They could.
They
though.
can, I guess. Yeah, like the
Neither do cylinders.
There it is.
The
I was
things.
waiting for someone to say that. Just shut up and plant your snowdrops, bitch. But yeah, so I have it written as the dream shifts and Ivy runs up to you and says, "Dad, look, it's a horn." But then Harvester ran up to Ivy and was like, "It's a horn." And I was like,
Hey, look.
You were like,
horn.
Dad, look at this thing. What is it? And I was like, oh, it looks like a horn. And then in my head, I was like, fuck.
You could have been
Am I
like,
supposed to say that?
because like when I said, what is it in my head, you were going to be like, I don't know. I found it in the garden. And you were just like, it's a horn.
Dad, what's that? Oh, it's just a magical horn that actually belongs to this angel creature that's going to kill you.
Because I knew what I knew, but I didn't know I was supposed to not know that.
Right.
So it wasn't like a huge re-record. We literally just went back to that section and I read it through again. And then we did the scene more.
But then Ivy swore, and that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was
what
an
did
accident.
She say?
Well, Aiden actually said it.
Aiden swore, and we decided to play along with it. And I was like, "Oops, I picked that up from Mom. Don't tell her."
It was good.
Because I was just like, "Oh, what the fuck," or something like that.
I think it was like, "Oh shit," or something like that.
No, it was fuck for sure. It was for sure an F-bomb.
Oh my gosh,
That's
Ivy
funny.
dropping an F-bomb.
But it made it like a cuter scene before I murdered her, so that's good.
Oh man.
And we talked about I didn't want to make it too gruesome of a death for a 12-year-old, so we decided to just, or we being me, because you guys didn't know this existed, but that's why I just did the blood dripping down the tip of the horn. It's implied that she's dead. But yeah, next hunt we have a guest. Thank you for listening to another episode of Every Which Way. Thank you to Keenan Dyer for doing the music and at Blue Jay the Hero for doing the album art. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Tumblr at eWhичWay. And make sure to follow us there because in the next few hours, we should be launching our Discord channel. So it should actually be launched today, and we'll be posting about it there. You can also find our link tree in the bios of all those places where you can also join our Discord server. So the Discord will be a place for all of our fans to come together. We can chat. You guys can learn more about us. And at next week, we'll be launching our Patreon where you can start asking listener questions. You can get more bonus content, some behind the scenes stuff. It's very exciting stuff. So there should be a bonus episode coming out either this week or next week. I'm hoping to get it done by Friday on top of our constant daily or Wednesday uploads. So this episode is coming out Wednesday, then we'll have another episode Wednesday, but in between there we're going to try to do a bonus episode that kind of teases what you'll see on the Patreon, so keep an eye out for all of that. I've been teasing that a bunch of stuff is coming, and we're finally getting to the point where I feel comfortable dropping it. I've really been pushing for it for a while, and it's taken some time to get through. I am sorry for the delay for the last 2 weeks. I did go on a little bit of a vacation to visit with family, and I thought I would still have time to do editing, and I just did not. So we are officially back. Thank you all for listening to this episode. I hope you guys continue to check us out and make sure to share with all of your friends. If you have if you have fan art, make sure to tag us with hashtag eWhичWay or Every Which Way, whichever you prefer. We'll be checking both of them, and you guys can be reposted by our Instagram and things like that. We love to see fan art from people, so please do that. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week for more monster hunting.